In light that pretty much the entire Democratic Party, including Bernie Sanders, has endorsed Joe Biden, I wanted to pose the question as to where do we go from here? Do we go to a third party? Do we go under the Democrats again? And you guys know my position. I don't believe the Democratic Party can be reformed. And the reason I don't believe the Democratic Party can be reformed is because it's even beyond the Democratic Party to reform itself. It's beyond that. It's the fact that the Democratic Party is controlled by the oligarchy, and the apparatus that controls the Democratic Party is not going to allow that party to be reformed. It's also not going to allow third parties, which is the conundrum, right? Jacobin had this article that said, like it or not, if we run third party, we will lose. And I had a really huge problem with this article. Number one, Jacobin has been largely a Sanders supporting journalism, but they've had several blind spots when it comes to foreign policy, and also when it comes to just thinking outside the electorate, because I just don't think that enough people are really understanding what I mean when I say outside the electorate. By outside the electorate, I mean stop thinking about it in terms of party and start thinking about it in terms of power. Who has the power right now? Believe it or not, the workers have the power right now. We as workers are in a very vulnerable position, but we are also in a position to completely say, stop, shut it down, and we're not going to do this until you give us what you want. And that goes beyond the dilemma of Dem enter and Dem exit. And here's the thing. While the Democratic Party can't be reformed, and while there's no point in trying to work within the party to get progressives in, because once progressives are in, they pretty much sell out, or they pretty much have to play politics to keep their positions, aka AOC and some of the squad, there is hope in trying to do something in regards to outside the party. And while, like the article says, it is nearly impossible to win via third party right now, and yes, we would likely lose, the premise of the article is dismissing the existence of third parties, period, because they don't have the power. The point is, we need to give these parties a fair shake. We need to give these parties a fair election, and we haven't had that in forever. I don't know if we've ever actually had it. And since we haven't had that, we need to actually work to first have a fair and free election system in order to get the people elected that we want. It's a conundrum, it's a catch-22, because the only way to do that is to actually win, right? Well, that's what people have been thinking, but that's what I mean by going outside the electorate. For the longest time, we have seen throughout history movements pretty much be the thing that catapults change within the electorate. Whether it's the civil rights movement, the LGBT movement, the women's rights movement, we have seen these movements be the ones that changed policies eventually in the electorate. What we haven't seen is, as much as people think, we haven't really seen change come from the electorate in incremental ways that actually matter. Incrementalism right now is actually probably should be our last resort. We really don't have time for it. We really shouldn't even be bothered with it. Incrementalism is going to kill us, just like capitalism is, because capitalism relies on people being dual thinkers, thinking about on people choosing the lesser of evils. It relies on people falling in line, and we need to simply stop doing that. The power that the people have right now is that during a pandemic, you are seeing people who weren't political become political because now they're affected, whether it's their rent, their business, their employees, their place of employment where they don't have the adequate protection or aren't getting paid enough. Whether it's any of these things, we are seeing that come to light. And now we have more and more people being driven to action. And since we do have that now, we need to make use of it. And there's no better time than right now to actually do that. So while a third party per se seems like it's an impossibility, it shouldn't be pushed aside or dismissed as something you shouldn't do at all. Because the reason Democrats have gotten away with screwing the people for so long is because they haven't been held accountable. That's one of the reasons a lot of us were angry at Bernie for endorsing Joe Biden. You haven't gotten anything from him. You haven't gotten Medicare for all. You haven't gotten any sort of Green New Deal, debt forgiveness, none of that. And now he doesn't have the leverage, but we have the leverage, because if the workers don't show up to work, if the workers stop doing the things that need to be done, then that's it. It all goes to hell. And that's something we need to realize. Like, if the workers stop working, that's something that affects the majority of the population of the United States of America. Now, with the small business loans going completely run out by corporations, by favorable backroom deals, by giving them to people who aren't really small businesses, that's angered the majority of the middle class. I know so many people in the middle class who are now having to lay off their employees, having to make really tough decisions, losing their businesses, and they're very angry at the way the government has protected the 1%. And they have been speaking on this. And because of that, we have the opportunity to bring those people in. And I'm talking about independents, Republicans, Democrats, people who aren't even affiliated with any party. That is what needs to happen next. That is the next phase of the movement. And so telling people that it doesn't matter if they vote third party because we're going to lose, that's not the point. The point isn't this election, which has been an entirely invalid sham of an election. It's not who wins the presidency. We know they're going to appoint Joe Biden to run against Donald Trump, and we know that Joe Biden is a weak candidate. So that's not the point. The point is to show opposition to the way the Democratic Party has conducted itself, to show and be proud that we do not stand with that, and that we need to stand together against the establishment. And that includes the Democratic establishment, who is by and large the ones that have impeded a progressive like Bernie Sanders from the nomination. Like, if we don't do that now, we're never going to do that. Now is the time. And while third parties, I believe, are the future, we need to focus on first getting them the power to be able to compete in the system. Right now, third parties don't have any power because the system is designed to do it so. So I want to focus on the system and pretty much knocking down that system and building something new in order to actually have the things we want to have. Otherwise, we're not going to have them until we have fair and free elections that allow third parties to actually have the same sort of viability as the Democrats and Republicans. We're not going to grow third parties. And yes, then it won't matter if you run as a third party. But right now, what we can best do is to form this movement and participate in this movement outside the electorate of all kinds of people, a working people's movement, to make sure that we show the Democratic Party that we're not playing. I think we need to absolutely stay away from voting for Joe Biden. That's one of the most important things you can do. If Democrats think that, like, in an abusive relationship, you're still going to come back to them after they punch you time and time again, after they beat you down time and time again, guess what? They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep beating you down. And if you don't fucking stand up for yourself, I really don't know what else to tell you. You need to stop paying attention to these mainstream media pundits. Stop paying attention to these scholars and intellectuals who think they know so much when they really just know enough of the right words to keep you in line, to keep the working class down. This is a class revolution. This has never been about left versus right. This is about us, the people at the bottom, who are literally pushed down time and time again. And this party that shows no accountability to us, to any of us. The party has zero accountability when it comes to elections, when it comes to the things they've done, when it comes to corruption. They are criminals and they get away with the crime every time. And instead of punishing them, we reward them with our vote. Stop rewarding them with your vote. It doesn't matter if you're not going to win via third party. You can build that too simultaneously and show the party, the Democratic Party, that you're not with them. Show that they can't keep doing what they're doing and rely on your vote. Otherwise, guess what? We're never going to change anything. Again, Donald Trump is used as this lesser of evilism. That didn't work 4 years ago. It didn't work before. It's never worked. It's never going to work. People are sick and tired of being taken hostage on something that should be really not used against them. And since there's been no accountability from the Democratic Party, they don't deserve your vote. In fact, you should embrace the fact that as a progressive, you might help Donald Trump win. Why? Because that destroys the Democratic Party. I mean, effectively, by not voting for Joe Biden, you are telling the party that you don't agree with them. And they need to feel it. Not just hear it. They need to feel it. They need to feel it so they know that this is coming, and they know it's coming because of them. And the people at the local and state level, if you want to work within the party, I get it. but you really need to be in opposition to the party, not somebody that lets them get away with this or that, that isn't really there opposing, that's there to try to make some crumbs happen for the people. It really has to be bigger than that. And we need to start building movements, contingents like Socialist Alternative, like DSA, movements that can grow into something much bigger if they come together. And I'm talking about Republicans, independents, everybody under the umbrella that is oppressed by the establishment, and the establishment includes both the Republicans and the Democrats. So that's something that we absolutely have to do. It's something that is crucial. Stand up and fight back by not voting for Joe Biden. Stand up and fight back by understanding that neoliberalism in power has never led to more revolt ever, and that people would fall back asleep if Joe Biden won. And understand and embrace the fact that it's okay if they call you a MAGA supporter. It's okay if they say that, because it's not true. It's not true that you believe in what Donald Trump believes. It's simply true you don't believe in choosing between two shit sandwiches, because that's not fair to you. It's not fair to your kids, your grandkids. It's not fair to the future of this country and this world, dealing with impending climate catastrophe, more diseases, and economic disarray. It's really not fair. And we need to stand together and really show them that they need to be held accountable. We demand Medicare for all. You give us that, or that's it. We're never going to do what you want us to do. We're going to be a thorn on your side. That is a giant mass movement. We demand a Green New Deal. We demand debt forgiveness. We demand rent freeze, rent mortgages. These are the things we need to demand, like the Yellow Vests did. And if we do that, we will flip the power structure. We will be the ones to have the power, but it's going to take a huge contingent of people to do that. It's not enough to simply say you don't like Biden either, but you're just going to vote for him because you need to get Donald Trump out of the White House. You need to get what got Donald Trump in the White House first. And until you do that, nothing's ever going to change. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, support us on YouTube. Click the bell, like, share, subscribe. Convo out.